Hey guys, so this is my first video, and this is about my 1991 500 SL. It is a black on black car. It was produced in October of 1990, and it was sold, I think, in late 1990 or early 1991, so it's an early 91 car. Not that that really makes any differences. But yeah, here it is. It's mostly stock. I haven't done any engine modifications or anything like that. It's got the AMG monoblock rims, as you can see right there, which are great. I love them. They look amazing. It's got the ducktail spoiler, and I think this really, really helps the look of the car. It really widens the rear end and makes it look nice. And it looked great before it had it, but it looks really good now, in my opinion. And then here is the exhaust. So it's a stock exhaust, but I have AMG tips on it because I just think it really helps out the look of the car. As you can see, I'm gonna have to get my my bumper just fixed a little bit because the funny thing about this is the exhaust pipes actually burned a piece of the bumper, so I had to just take it off. But I'm gonna have it like fixed and straightened up pretty soon, and it'll look much better. So yeah, let me just take a real quick interior shot and give you guys a little shot of that. So here it is. It's black, like I said. My carpets are a little dusty, guys. Like I said, I haven't washed the car, or I don't know if I said this, but I haven't washed the car in like months. With the coronavirus issue, washing cars right now is really not something that is a priority. And so yeah, so here's the interior. It's black. It's a little, I have to probably put some 303 on it because it's a little, it needs a little bit of a wash. But here's the seats. The seats are in relatively good condition. So as you can see right there, black and black. And, I have a little bit of a bolster issue, but that's pretty minor, and it's very common. You got to think about this. This car is way older than I am, so you have to consider that. And then here's the rest of the interior. So my wood is actually, it's not in horrible shape. It's definitely not in great shape, but it's not in horrible shape. But the trim right here that surrounds it is a piece of plastic. It broke one day. Don't ask me how I did it. I forgot, but I broke it, and basically I need to get a new one. Here's the passenger door, which is in really good shape. Like I said, my wood on the doors is in really good shape. And there's the passenger seat. There's the dash, which the dash in these cars are actually really, 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 really good. They never, ever crack, which is awesome. So yeah, I still wash it and keep it nice, but they never crack, and I'll never have to deal with that. So here's the car phone. So this was like a $4,000 or $5,000 option. And even though it's not useful anymore, it's still really cool to have, in my opinion. It's very of the period. Here's the car phone. So this is what you would answer the phone with, and that's how you dialed it. So this was a super baller option back in the day. I'm sure whenever you showed it off to your friends, you just showed them the car phone, and that was like a big deal. It's just a really cool part of the car. So one thing about this car that I think I could definitely complain about is the steering wheel. It is way, way too big, guys. I can't even get it in the frame. It's 400 millimeters, and it's okay for just driving around, but if you're on a windy road, it really doesn't help out. And I just think that Mercedes should have made a much better wheel for this car, because it really does a disservice to it when you're driving, like I said, on a windy road, or just in general. It's just too vague for this car. And, I probably worked on the S-Class of the period, and, some other things like that, but not on the SL. It just didn't work out, in my opinion, and I wasn't really a big fan of it. So the next thing I'll move on to is the engine. So here, we'll take a look at it in a second. Alrighty, guys, so this is the power plant to the SL. It is an M119 V8, 5 liters, 322 to 326 horsepower, and about 350 pound-feet of torque. So pretty good power output numbers by 1991 standards. Obviously compared to modern stuff, that's not crazy, but that's definitely enough to get you around. It feels really fast. When you drive this car, it definitely doesn't feel slow or like a slouch. So, funny thing about this motor is that, it was using the W140, the S-Class, the W124 E-Class, and the R129 SL. But, it was also used in some Le Mans cars. So it was using the Sauber C9 and Sauber C11. And it was using the CLK LMP1 car. So it definitely has some motorsport history. Those versions were twin turboed and had, I think, around 1,000 horsepower, so quite a bump up from this. But It is a great engine. I think it's one of the best V8s Mercedes has ever produced. Now, I've gotten into debates with people about, which V8s are better, and obviously, I have my own opinions, but they're you could say they're slightly biased. But I think this is definitely one of the best V8s Mercedes ever produced. It's mated to a 4-speed automatic. The 722.3, I think, is the code name for it. Which, it's not as far as like the speed of the transmission, it's not great because it is a 4-speed. But, like I said, compared to what the transmissions were the day, it's not bad. I've driven it, I've driven this car extensively through the canyons, highway. I've driven it really high speeds. I've done everything basically you could do in this car. And honestly, people really don't like it, but it's really not a bad transmission. I don't care what anybody says. It's not a bad transmission. It definitely will get you around. And it's not the fastest shifting transmission, but it's not horrible either. I've been in cars with worse transmissions than this for sure. But like I said, for the time, it was a great transmission. Actually, I've read some auto reviews, and people were really praising how good the transmission was. So yeah, everything has to just be taken in context. So as you can see over there is the fuel distributor. So this is a Bosch K-Jetronic car, or they call it CIS, same difference. So this was used in basically any performance European car from the probably late 70s, early 80s to the early 90s. A lot of people complain about it, and I don't think it's the best fuel system ever used, but it's not horrible. As long as it's sorted and it's been taken care of, it generally works pretty well. Also, you don't really have to deal with electrical issues with CIS, so I don't really mind that. I think it's overall a good system. I've had my fuel distributor rebuilt. A friend of mine, shout out to Grant, rebuilt it, and he did a great job, and the car runs really well right now. I had a bunch of work done to it, which I'll get into that in another video. But yeah, I mean, it's a great engine. Overall, the car's mechanically, the SL, these models are really, really well done. Mercedes really knew what they were doing, and they spent a lot of time engineering the car. So here's the whole engine if you guys didn't see it. That is the power steering reservoir. This is where you check the oil, obviously. Coolant tank. This is the reservoir for the wiper fluid. ABS is right here. And then brake boosters right over there. So this car does not have ASR or traction control, which I'm happy it doesn't, because it doesn't really, in my opinion, need it. And the early ASR on these cars is really crappy, in my opinion, and I just don't like it. So I'm glad that it doesn't have that. Stock engine, stock engine bay. I didn't do anything. I haven't painted anything or anything like that. It's a little dusty, but it's not too bad because I washed it like maybe a couple of weeks ago. But I don't, it's an engine bay. How clean are they supposed to be? It's not really a show car, so I don't keep it too clean. But I keep it clean enough to where it looks presentable. So yeah, here's the engine. So yeah, guys, that's going to be about it for the introductory video. There's really not much else to go over. I'll definitely get into more detail as time goes on and, update you guys with certain repairs that I'm having done and my plans for the car in the future. But just for right now, that's it. Thanks for subscribing, and make sure to, comment, like, subscribe, any of the above. And anybody out here who's trying to buy an SL or is interested in an older Mercedes, you can contact me with some questions. I'm not a mechanic by any means, but I have a decent amount of knowledge when it comes to these cars, and I have some good resources when it comes to people I can speak to who know better than I do about these cars. So thank you, and gonna shoot another video soon. Thanks.